Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the Marvel Legends series Build-A-Figure Juggernaut wave. We'll be having a look today at X-Men's Marvel's Pheonix. Jean Grey comes, well, she comes delivered to us in this package with the torso, the very large torso of the Build-A-Figure Juggernaut. Yes, you have a question. Spot will be looking at the Juggernaut wave, not just Jean Grey, during the course of the next series of reviews. And when we are all finished and it's all said and done, we're going to have ourselves a finished Juggernaut. It looks like Juggernaut is just bursting out of the packaging just by its sheer size of the torso. So out of the box, we've got Jean Grey represented, Pheonix represented on either side. The back of the package says, an expert of sonic force, Jean Grey uses her powers of telepathy and telekinesis as the mind-controlling hero, Pheonix. Other figures down below are the classic Wolverine. We've got Shadowcat, Kitty Pryde, Iceman, Havoc, Rogue, Pheonix, Cable, and Deadpool. Take all those figures. Now it says it lists only 7 figures, so my guess is that Cable and Deadpool will not come with Build-A-Figure pieces. I've not actually looked at those yet, but 7 figures will build this guy right here, a Juggernaut. And Juggernaut looks very impressive. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. No sense in delaying this any further. When we come back, we're going to first have a look at the Build-A-Figure piece that comes for Juggernaut, then we're going to have a look at Pheonix. There's definitely more coming your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Let's first have a look at the Build-A-Figure component that comes with Jean Grey. Yes, I know Jean Grey is lying down currently. Just couldn't get the figure to stand up properly. But let's have a look at the Build-A-Figure first. The component piece here is the upper torso of Juggernaut. First glance, it looks like the paint's a little on the sloppy side, a lot of carryover reds into the browns, and then of course this big glaring section of the torso crunch, which is clearly a different color than the rest of the red that makes up the lower torso. It's also very light by comparisons to the other Build-A-Figures. Well, I shouldn't say that. A lot of the larger figures tend to have a very hollow feeling torso. Juggernaut has a very hollow feeling torso. Not really much to be said so far. We'll put him to this, or I say him. I mean, really, what is it? It's a torso. We'll put the torso to the side first. We'll look at Jean Grey, and then, of course, over the next series of videos, we'll be adding more to this. So stay tuned for that. All right, so let's have a look at Jean Grey, the Pheonix. As a whole, I do quite like this figure. I felt initially that the face seemed a little skinny, seemed a little aged. But you know what, the more I look at it, the more I'm warming up to the face, and I actually think it's a quite pretty face represented here for Pheonix. She has a very small jaw though, and almost a very puckering kind of lip portion, like she's eating sour candy. The hair sculpt is quite nice too. It's I don't know why they incorporate additional red here, if that was just a miss on the way of the paint being added to it. But the face is pretty good. Coloring's quite good too. I mean, really, now that they've incorporated this figure's base as the base of operations, they could easily just color this red for a Dark Pheonix version. The coloring is more primarily a green with some yellow, a very Iron Fist kind of color motif here. I like the gold, but I don't like, and let's bring the camera in here for a second. I don't like the marbling that sometimes comes when gold or yellow plastic is used. It's this kind of marbling effect, which hopefully you can make out here in the camera. It makes for it a little, it makes the plastic look a little busier as opposed to just having a very neutral coat of gold or like a yellow paint to the plastic. I don't like it. I have to be completely honest. It bothers me more the more I look at it, especially in the leg portion. I really wish that wasn't the case, as opposed to just having, again, this be painted just a straight yellow. The arms spare a little bit better, though as they get closer up to the green portion of her outfit, you can see that it doesn't seem as fully finished. It looks like it almost needed a second coat. The body's been used before, nothing new to the torso or body as a whole. I feel like, I don't know, it's surprising that so often the constructs, like little energy things that come with figures, get so thrown in with Marvel Legends. Pheonix, I feel like, should have really come with something. She also has two open hands. Two open hands. Granted, I would likely display her with open hands anyways, but I wish that they could have also incorporated a closed hand or some variations to that, so I didn't necessarily always have to have her displayed in a dynamic hand opening gesture. A construct, though, certainly would have gone a long way. I do really like the hair. The hair is probably one of my favorite things about this figure. The figure really comes together well. No real negatives, except for, I would say, the discoloring and just the construction of the plastic in the yellow portions, especially in the legs. By the way, the sash portion here, which carries that same sort of yellow over, is a looser piece, as it usually is when it comes to sashes or belt portions, so it doesn't hinder or limit posability. Not that it would really limit posability, because it's nowhere near the areas where you would need to be moving the legs. When it comes to Jean Grey or the Pheonix posability, it's about what you would expect. The head rotates, but as you can see, when it gets to the hair clearing the shoulder, then it becomes a little bit more difficult. The head also hinges up and down. I do want to draw your attention to it, though. As you hinge the head down, a very, very big noticeable gap shows right where the torso, or right where the neck, sockets itself into the head via a ball joint. It's a little on the noticeable side, but not to say that you would tilt the head that far down. Torso is also on a ball joint. That's nice. Hinges on the shoulders. That's also nice. A rotation on the forearms. I should say on the tire arm. The forearm has a bend right at the elbow. A rotation on the forearm itself. A rotation on the wrist. A hinge back and forth. Then you get the ball jointed legs. Forward and back motion there. Bend at the knee. Double bend at the knee. And also a hinge in the foot. For those favoring an ankle pivot, doesn't really seem like there's much of a pivot. You're only going to be getting more so a hinge up and down. So there's Jean Grey. A good figure. Display stands also would be very awesome for displaying her. You can get her in some sort of like levitation pose. As a whole, I like the figure. The only nitpicks I could probably make about the figure is the yellowing plastic. You know, I wish it was painted a little bit differently and not relying on the plastic itself, where you have just this marbling texture. Other than that, like the figure. Other than that, looking forward to opening up the rest of these figures from the Juggernaut wave. It might potentially be my favorite Marvel Legends wave of recent memories. That's a bold statement to make. Let's see if a statement like that can be backed up by the next series of figure reviews that we're going to be having a look at. That sounds like a segue. It is a segue. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the first figure from the Juggernaut wave. We're looking today at the Pheonix Jean Grey. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more figure reviews, of course, all of which being Juggernaut until we finally finish that guy. And then after that, regular videos will continue. As always, let me know down below what you think of this particular figure, if you have any nitpicks about it, and I will see you next time.